And can you identify any of those beautiful gagged faces from the upcoming episodes 281 through 285? If so, feel free to leave it in the comments. As you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about something that you guys are pretty excited for, I know. But before we dive into that, I know recently we've been doing a lot of re-uploads. I told you guys about that. We're kind of all caught up for right now, although over the next couple of years, there will probably be a couple dozen more re-uploads coming. In the last video I put out, I talked to you guys a little bit about our playlists and KK replacements. The playlist can be found in the playlist tab. As far as those KK replacements goes, the recap episodes that have replaced the original episodes, what may end up happening is those KK replacement recaps may become the new original episode, and I may remake those recaps. Because even our original recaps are not up to our current standards. There's definitely some improvements that could be made, footage quality, things like that. So that's something to think about for down the road, remaking the recaps and replacing the original episodes with the current recaps. In a rare instance, I may even remake an original episode. I can think of one example offhand, but that's just something for down the road with some of these things. But for right now, we're going to be moving ahead, less re-uploads and more new stuff. That will kick off with Recap 23, which patrons have been able to watch for the last several weeks, actually. But Recap 23 is the next new upload to come out. That is a phenomenal episode, which you guys will love. Then since that'll be concluding the second international cycle, then we're going to go to Recap 24, which is technically the beginning of the third international cycle. Then from Recap 24, we go to 281 through 285. And then we go into the Turkish cycle, which is 286 to 290. And then telenovelas, which is 291 to 295. And then we're at the fan request cycle. By the way, if you see like a little gnat or fly buzzing around here, I apologize. I'm going to kill it. The fan request cycle will be episodes 296 through 300. I talked to you guys a little bit about that before, but this is the official video for the fan request cycle. Get your requests into thekrimescene@gmail.com. I'll have the address in the description. Give me as much details as possible. If it's an international scene, please send it to me through an official YouTube channel for the content. Give me the timestamps, whether it's on a YouTube video or not. Try and let me know where the footage is at, from what you're sending, the actresses, whatever it is, okay? Give me as much detail as possible. I'm not one of these bondage pornographer clip recorders that makes these little crappy things that can't make a real KK episode out of. So I need real footage, real content to make an episode. So you're going to have to provide me with as much detail as possible to make it work. That being said, what are the requirements for submitting a KK request? 4 things. The scene must feature at least one female in a not overly sexualized scene, in a not overly sexualized full treatment scene, I should say. It's got to be full treatment with at least one female in a true crime fiction type of scene, and it has to be something we haven't done yet. So I shouldn't necessarily say it has to be a true crime fiction type of scene, but it does have to be a standard DID style scene featuring one woman, full treatment, something we haven't covered yet. So those are the 4 things. All right. How do you know if we've covered it or not? We've done a lot of stuff here. We got 280 episodes at the time of making this, 15 more before we get to the fan request cycle. What does that mean for you? Are you supposed to know everything? Well, go to the playlist tab, go to the KK full playlist, and look around. If you send me something we've already done, I'm not going to bite your head off over it, but try and see if we've done it or not. We've done quite a bit. So that's that. Now, some of you, maybe you're thinking, well, I don't want to request a new scene. There is a scene I want to request. However, you've already done it before. But you did it years ago, and the episode kind of sucks. Well, that is a fair point. Our earliest episodes do kind of suck, and that's why we have the recaps. So, in addition to the 5 new fan request episodes, we're going to be taking 2 fan request recaps. What are the rules for submitting a recap? Well, number 1, I don't want you to submit something we've already recapped, even though, like I said, some of the earlier recaps, could use a revision down the road. But, so now what you need to do, you need to open that full KK playlist, as well as the full KK recap playlist, which is much shorter of a playlist. Okay, make sure we haven't recapped it yet. In addition to that, the biggest requirement for your recap submission, I want it to be from the first 80 episodes of the KK. So you have the full KK playlist open. Pick from the first 80 episodes. Now I know we've done stuff past the first 80 episodes. Recap 24 was episode 221, I think. Wait, I probably haven't released that yet. Oh boy, I spoiled it, possibly. Oh well. It's in much better quality footage. But we've done other recaps. The Gal Gadot and Isla Fisher, those were from episode like 117, 18. Same thing with the Anna Kendrick and Fate of the Furious double recap. Those were from later on. We've done stuff from later on, but overwhelmingly, the first 80 episodes of the KK are by far inferior to the ones that came after it. I know episodes 81 through 250 are not up to our current standards, but they're far more improved for the most part, almost all of them, than the original 80. And the fact is that some of the best DID scenes ever are featured in the first 80 episodes of the show. And, we've done some re-uploads of those recently, and you see how lacking they are in quality. So I want you guys to pick from the first 80 episodes for the recap. To my count, by the time we're done with recap 25, these fan request recaps will be number 26 and 27. So by the time we're done with 25, we will have already recapped, 21 scenes from the first 80 episodes. And to my count, there's like 6 or 7 of the first 80 episodes that are not full treatment scenes. So between non-full treatment and the scenes we've already covered, that's going to leave you with over 50 still to pick from the first 80. So you'll still have over 50 different choices from those first 80 episodes to get in for the recap requests. So that's where it's at. 5 new scenes. Went out of focus there. 5 new scenes, 2 recaps from the first 80 episodes. What's the timetable of release of all of these? It's hard to say. That's kind of the thing that's real different these days is having a schedule. It's almost impossible. Back in the day, we used to do the DID awards cycle every year and then a horror cycle every year at Halloween. That's just not going to be possible anymore to do that. Maybe those will be things we do every few years or something like that, or look back at the DID scenes of the last 3 years. I'm just not up to date enough on current media to be really good at doing that, and I don't want horror to totally dominate everything we do here, so it's hard to do that every year. I'd like to have all these out by the end of the year, but I feel like the fan request cycle may not be until next year. That's certainly a possibility. Possibly like in March, if we'll take a couple months off once we get done with episode 295. That's a possibility. I say I'd like to get them all out before the end of the year, but to collect them and edit them, it's just a lot of work. It really is. Plus everything else I'm working on. It's tough to even try and dictate this stuff on a schedule anymore. I mean, I put these out when I can, when I get through all the work. I mean, it's tough stuff. So that's where we're at. Get your requests in. I'm excited to see what you guys can come up with. So basically, I'll be choosing over the next several months before I get to work on them. I'll probably let you guys know a specific cutoff date, but yeah, so 5 new episodes, 2 recaps, new episodes, at least 1 female, full treatment, not overly sexualized scene that we haven't covered yet. Recap, something we haven't recapped yet, and from the first 80 episodes, full treatment, obviously. So, pretty simple stuff. Use the playlists, use the full KK and recap playlist to decide what you're going to request. It'll help you. Yeah, get those over to me, and I'm excited to put those out and get all the new content out. Like I said, recap 23 is next, then recap 24, then we're into episode 281 and going off from there. So exciting stuff. Recap 25 will come before episode 291. And yeah, that's what we got. Obviously, there's something else that's kind of looming, and that is the 25,000 subscriber milestone here. And there's going to be some other surprises and announcements coming with that, some new additions, some new features. So I will talk to you guys about that stuff in those videos. But I will see you. Thanks again.